Hello everyone, welcome to ChessVisor, your wise choice to improve your chess. In today's video, I'm going to show you one of the best immortal chess games in chess history played by Madras striker Wikj Anand. And this game was played between Levon Aronian and Vishwanathan Anand, and it was the fourth round of the 2013 Tata Steel Group A. In this game, Anand made multiple brilliant moves and sacrifices, and made this game so remarkable for all the chess lovers. And it is a spectacular game, so do not skip the video, watch the video till the end. And so without any further delay, let's get started. So here Aronian started the game with the d4 and Anand replied with the d5, and after c4 the queen's gambit, Anand here defending with the semi-Slav. So it is not a semi-Slav, it's a Slav variation, but eventually we will enter into the semi-Slav variation, especially the Meran. So after knight f3, knight f6, knight c3, it's all developing move. So e6, this is called a semi-Slav now. And after that e3, trying to develop the bishop while capturing the pawn when black captures on c4. So knight b d7, developing a piece, bishop to d3, and now we have to capture the pawn. So the idea is once we recapture, black is going to play the b5 idea, gaining some time on the bishop. And once the bishop drops, our simple plan would be to play bishop b7, consolidate b5, and then rook to c8, and then push forward with c5. This is the most common plan in the position. So let's see how it gets shaped. So bishop to d6, the Meran variation, and then castles, and queen c2, developing a battery, small battery, and also keeping a small pressure on the h7, right? So after bishop b7, a3 he played, and then rook to c8. So this was the plan for black, and he executed it. And here he needs to defend the b5 before we push the pawn. But here after knight to g5, its idea is very simple. The knight is coming to g5 for so take the pawn. If suppose any random move, the knight can easily take, and then he can easily take the this knight also. If the knight captures, then takes, and it's a winning game for white. So here Anand completely ignored this knight. And one more variation we should check here, the h6 idea, just kicking the knight back. And another one is to the typical sacrifice of the bishop, because the knight is undefended. Why don't we try this? If we try this, after knight to g4, checking g1, and queen takes g5, f3, knight g f6, and then e4, white in the process of this variation, white has built huge center, and it's a complete it's not a winning game for white, it's better for white because of the space, and black is lagging some space, and also he needs to move the queen around. So going back, in this position he did not play the h6 or the bishop sacrifice, rather he played the c5 move. It's a principal move, I would say. Because why it's a principal move? Whenever your opponent is creating a threat or the attack on the king side or the queen side, you should open the center for the counter attack. And the here already the bishop d6 is eyeing the king side, and by playing c5 you are actually opening the other bishop's diagonal. So it's an excellent position for both the bishops. And sooner the queen is going to join the attack like this. So queen to c7, the battery will be stronger than earlier. So after c5, here Aronian thought, and he went with his own plan, that is knight takes h7. So here another idea is to play, I think yeah, here there are multiple ideas like knight takes b5, and then knight takes b5, I mean bishop takes b5. So a lot of ideas there for white. So instead of taking on h7, so if suppose if he takes here, then we can play this absolute move, that is bishop takes h2 check, king takes h2. Now the ideas will be working, because after queen takes g5, black is threatening all sorts of threats. So it is not easy for white to defend the position. So if suppose in this position, if white captures with a bishop, still we are going to capture in the center. So c takes d4, after e takes d4, h6, just we are kicking the knight away, and this knight is not happy now. Why? He cannot go back to the natural square, because we are going to simply chop it off. And another idea is to drop the knight back. It is defended multiple times, so it is not good for him. and the knight is already pinned, so it is not even possible, right? So the only move is to drop the knight to simply h3. So that's not good for him. So now after queen c7, black is better, and in fact he can easily win the game. So here after c5 he played knight takes h7 instead of all these variations, and Anand went knight to g4. It's a very strong move because it prepares the move queen to h4. So in this position, if white is greedy, he thinks okay, it is safe to capture the rook now. It's a game over for white now, because after queen h4 there is no stopping mate. If you think of h3, you can simply sacrifice the queen for the beautiful, it's not the knight move, okay, if you just accept the uh, queen sacrifice, and you can execute the beautiful blackburn's checkmating pattern. So going back, uh, so he played f4, blocking one of the bishop's diagonal, but here Anand simply took the pawn in the center, so c takes d4. After f4 the center is weak now, so he has to capture back with the pawn. So now the weakness, you can see the isolated pawn on the d file, so it's called the IQP, isolated queen pawn situation. But that's not the story here, because here he shocked the world with a bishop to c5. Already the exchange is hanging, and now he is giving up another piece. Actually you cannot touch the piece, because if you capture here, we can play the simple move, we are double attacking the bishop, and once you save the bishop, here comes the follow up, that is going to d4 check, right? So king is forced to move away, so after king h1 you can deliver this beautiful checkmating pattern. So if king comes here, we can deliver the mate, otherwise we can simply go down the other line, that is when you give this check, so he can actually capture the knight, and still it is going to be a mate on g2 by multiple times, and also the mate on e1, it's not stoppable. So here considering all this, Aronian played bishop e2, and in this position again Anand shocks world of move after move because he played the brilliant sacrifice move, that is knight to d5, I mean knight e5. So in this position, if you look at this position carefully, again the two pieces are hanging, the exchange is also hanging, okay. So earlier we checked the same variation, I don't want to check the same one. So suppose if you capture the knight now, because okay, it's not possible to capture the knight because this is spin. So let's say you capture the bishop, so the same variation will follow by queen to d4 check, and then king h1, the same thing will happen. If suppose if we capture the new knight with the other pawn, so this is the interesting variation to check, because still we are going to take with the check on d4, and the king is forced to move away, and once he moves, and there is the direct sacrifice now, okay, there is no knight, no need to play the knight f2 check, so you can directly sacrifice because of the battery thing, the bishop is helping the queen to land on g1, and once he takes, you can checkmate like this. So going back, so that concludes that okay, you cannot capture both the pieces. So here considering all this, Aronian played bishop takes g4, okay, at least I can remove the knight which is very active or creating some headaches for me, so he is taking on g4. So after that, the immediate move is bishop takes d4 check, and then after king h1 he simply took the bishop, still the exchange is hanging, okay. Again you cannot take the exchange, you can analyze for yourself, it's very easy one. So here after knight takes g4 he played knight takes f8. So I was telling okay, you cannot take the exchange, but anyway he played this. And if you think about going back with your knight, like knight to g5, you can check this variation. After pawn to f5 you are preparing the move rook f6, and then rook h6, threatening all sorts of checkmating ideas. So let's say you capture the e6 pawn because you are forking, right, but you are blundering the game with a queen h4. There is no stopping mate here, even if you play h3. Remember this strong bishop on b7, okay, it is pinning the pawn, so we can simply take and deliver the mate. So going back, Aronian played knight takes f8 instead of knight to g5. So after f5, actually we are not going to capture the knight, so rather Anand played f5, cutting off the queen's diagonal. Why it's very important now? So earlier we were talking about the queen h4 idea, right? If you play queen h4 directly, what will happen? Simply white can exchange like this. So still I think black is better, but it is uh, it is it is okay to avoid this kind of counter attacks. So he played the pawn to f5. So after this, immediately he played knight to g6. Okay, going back, or he is defending h4 now. So after queen f6 threatening the knight, he played pawn to h3. So why he is playing pawn to h3 is he wants to get rid of this knight because of the pressure. So he wants to avoid all the type of mates which is coming. So he played h3. If suppose in this position, if you play knight to e5, so this variation, we can play knight h2. If you take, it's a mate. Okay, this is another variation. So many mate threats are there in this position for white. So queen f6 threatening the knight. h3, actually the h3 is not creating a big threat because after queen takes g6 you cannot touch the knight. If you take, it's a mate. So you can deliver mate, so by the queen. So you see the bishop's diagonal, no? So it's very annoying for white. So I think the two bishop pair in the open position is a bishop pair from the hell. So here after this he simply took the knight. So he could not capture the knight because of the mate. So he played queen e2, defending the, trying to reroute the queen for the some defense, some kind of defense. But here Anand played queen h5 finally, threatening the mate now. Considering the pin, it's a mate. So he played queen to d3, trying to defend h3. But here comes the final blow, that is bishop e3. It's a intermediate move. You cannot do anything about this. Uh, you have option of capturing the bishop, but that leaves the uh, king undefended. So it's a mate. So queen takes h3 check, king to g1. Finally we can deliver this queen takes g2 mate. So thanks to this beautiful bishop. So in this position, after queen h5 queen d3, after bishop e3, actually Aronian resigns the game. Okay, what a spectacular game by Anand. So that's why it's an immortal chess game for Anand. I think it's the best, one of the best games for Anand. What do you think about this game? Let me know your thoughts and ideas in the comment section below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to check our channel's previous videos and playlist. We have multiple videos and playlist available in the channel. And if you like them, please consider subscribing to the channel and press the bell icon to get notified for the future videos. And don't forget to join our live streaming every Tuesday 9:45 p.m. Indian Standard Time. So this is Chess Wiser, your wise choice to improve your chess.